Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as cool kids like to say, I am joined by a man who's not only an innovator, a creator, a father, a husband, designer. He's done everything in the book and then some. This guy's got so many nicknames, it's bigger than Denver phone book. I'm joined by the one and only Todd McFarlane. Todd, how are you doing?
Shit. Look at Don't you worry about me, Bob. We're good. We're good.
Fantastic. How's your day treating you over in Arizona?
Today's gonna be a good day. Today is I don't know. It's either gonna be a really good day or it's gonna be a really bad day. It's my birthday today, and
happy birthday!
And I'm 61, and I was born in 1961, and I'm a big baseball fan. And Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 1961. And I was born on the 16th, which is the inverse of 61. So I feel like maybe I should buy a lotto ticket or something, because either that or the apocalypse is coming. I don't know what all of it means, but there's a lot of 61s and 1s and 6s happening. So yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That all ties together quite nicely on your special day. Many happy returns.
Oh, well, I don't know what they call it. Golden birthday is when you're 8 years old and you're born on the 8th. For me, I guess it would have been 16 on the 16th, but I don't know what they call it when it's like you hit your year, right? So my son, who was born in 1999, it's going to be a tough one for him to match Dad here, because he's going to have to go 99 years to be 99.
Awesome. Let's see. I was born on Halloween.
Oh,
in 85. So I'm now, 36, 37. I'm going up there. I'm in that weird age bracket.
Oh, you passed. What year though you were born?
85.
85. Oh shit. You're gonna have to live a long life too, right? See, I'm tired of being old. Is it like it's like, woo, you're born in the 40s, only got to get to the 40s. Cool.
No, that's awesome. So before we get into Winter Showcase Showdown, as I like to call it, I wanted to tell you, I wanted to read a little story from you and see if you remembered something, since it occurred in Toy Fair. I'm going to say the year 2000 is when this person's talking about it. 2000? Yes.
We're going back 22 years. Okay.
Yes.
I'm putting on
22
the cap.
years.
I'm putting on the thinking cap. Okay, go.
All right. At the Toy Fair, I met fellow Calgarian Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn. I was a big fan of his comics, and we joked about his old Aberhart High School beating Manning in basketball.
Aberhart High School.
Aberhart High School beating Manning in baseball, but never in wrestling.
Yeah.
You remember that conversation?
Not specifically, but I do remember Manning High School was one of the big competitors we would play against all the time. But yeah, it's always cool to run into people from your hometown, get to share a few sort of shared memories, if you will.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just geography, right? So
yeah. That famous Canadian was Bret Hart.
Oh, really?
Yes. He wrote about it in his book about meeting you.
Wow, Bret Hart, man, look at him. Cool. Wow, look at that. So yeah, it's interesting. A couple of us out of Calgary have quote unquote done good for ourselves. So they treat us good when we come home. Let me tell you that, right? I think last time I was there was for one of the conventions, and they gave me a key to the city. So I'm like, shoot, nice. Cool. and what was even cooler was it was at the end of, I guess they do a big cosplay parade, right? And everybody gathered at this sort of open area place that was outside where they did the presentation. And so the crowd was essentially superheroes and TV characters and villains, and we ended up taking this cool selfie, and it's one of my sort of favorite photos of like, look at this, everybody's having a good time. And that was like the day before we even got started on the convention.
Oh, that's awesome. Is Calgary Stampede Days as crazy as it looks?
It can be. Anytime you do any big gathering for multiple days with a lot of people, there is a wide range of stories to be had by the activities by individuals. So, God bless humans and our diverse way of spending our 24 hours a day. Some a little more aggressive than others. So, but yes, I'm sure if you went to the mounted police and asked them to tell you some Calgary Stampede stories, they would have plenty. So
Awesome. Well, let's get down to brass tack and
sure.
let's talk business. Or I guess recently, everything was affected. We're still grinding through this pandemic situation here. So you
Yep.
guys decided to do a virtual show again this year, and you had some cool stuff going on. So I'm gonna just pull this up here. I don't know if you can see it on your end.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. First up, we had the Warhammer line. This has been a surprise hit, like from somebody who doesn't collect Warhammer that much. My brother does. I
Yep.
actually picked him up one of those unpainted, the artist proof.
Yeah.
He's working on that right now. But this line seems to be doing tremendously well. Like, how are you feeling about everything that's going on in the world of Warhammer?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's it's sort of based on a game with miniatures, right? So we didn't know if sort of going large was going to work, because you can't use them on your board, and you can't use them, as you're sort of doing your mapping and stuff. But we were really sort of pleasantly surprised that people, and it shouldn't come as a surprise. If you like Warhammer, you're gonna like Warhammer at all sizes. If you like Batman, you're gonna like Batman at all sizes, right? If you like Spider-Man, you're gonna like them at all sizes. And so I found that people who just sort of have collections or are fond about certain brands, they actually like the variety. And everything doesn't have to be uniformed and the same, right? I mean, I even see some stuff behind you. You've got all different sizes and shapes, and I'm sure
Yes.
price points and things like that. Even if it was the same brand, you'd still have figured out all of that. Because I mean, you've seen those collections. I've been in
Massive.
people's rooms that like got a Superman collection, and it's like 100 different sizes. It seems like, right, from 20 different countries, and it's really fun to look at. It just even if you just see the photo, it's just fun to stare at. So I don't think there's been that many opportunities for the Warhammer fans, and I think possibly they were like, oh, cool, I can do something that isn't always the same, and we've done pretty well. We've done pretty well with it, as you said. So.
Yeah, they've been tremendous, and even the new stuff. I haven't seen it in person yet, but those big giant trolls that are all decked out, ready for battle. Those.
Yeah. No, we got some good ones. Yeah, with some nice detail and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then let's see here. Let's bring back up the slide again. And then the two new figures were announced. Both I don't know anything about this property, but and anytime I see it, it always looks cool. So,
well, luckily I've got a couple of my sculptors that are fanatics about it, so they make sure that it all is right and it all looks good because they're basically sculpting for themselves. So.
Awesome. And then the next thing you had up is, I like to call it the anime block. You got like so many different properties going on right now between Critical Role, Seven Deadly Sins, and My Hero Academia seems to continue to be doing well. I still see My Hero Academia on shelves, like new stuff coming out, so that's always good. I haven't seen any of the other stuff yet. I know some of it was just announced, but we got some good stuff going on in there.
Yeah, some of it too. One of the things we're doing is different scales, right? That allow us to then do different price points, and there seems to be a pretty solid appetite, regardless of what the brand is, for items that are in that $10, $12 range, right? People are willing to give up a little bit of articulation, maybe even a little bit of detail, to get something that is almost half price, right? Because then you can buy twice as much, right? So we, with my hero, we had the 2 different sizes and did really well with what we'll call the 5-inch scale. Same with the Avatar, Last Airbender.
Yes.
Same thing. They're kind of cool. I mean, and as you know, once you sort of go a little bit smaller, you can get more of them on your one shelf. Right?
Yes.
So the downside of collecting big, and I know people who collect like big giant statues, is like, man, you get 3 of them, and your shelf is pretty much full. So there's something to be said about tiny stuff, because when you put them all together, like I said, to me, maybe I'm just a kid. I just remember collecting Army Men and stuff, that the more you had, the cooler it was. And especially now with like superheroes, where there's basically legions of characters in the team, and the bad guys. I mean, we're even doing, maybe I'll show a little bit later, where we're doing these small figures with comic books now, and I've been seeing a bunch of those at the office all together, and I'm like, oh man, we got to just sell the little tiny guys together. They're super fun, right? I call it the farm animal pack. When I was a kid, I don't know, I'm going to age myself, that you get this flat pack, and you get like 1 horse and 1 cow and 1 sheep and 1 chicken and 1 pig. And then you get like 2 pieces of fence, and you get like a trough, and maybe you get a haystack. And you just felt like you had the farm, right?
Yes.
Sort of play. And to me, what it was is it was essentially an assortment pack, right? And I think assortment packs still resonate today, and especially if you put the right brand on it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, the smaller figures seem to be fun. The Avatar stuff seems really cool too. Like I've seen the dog in stores.
Yeah.
I go back and forth, and I'm like, hey, I should really get this. I'm like pulling at myself, but like that thing, for the price point that it's at, it looks amazing. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about your brand, and I know a lot of other collectors too, is that it's affordable. Like these things can still look great, they can still move, and they can do things, but they're affordable. So I know we appreciate the fact that you're keeping the collector in mind when you're putting your products out.
Yeah, I am. And the really the origin of all that was, I remember every day when I was growing up that I didn't really have much money in my pockets, and so I had to limit my choices, right? Which was frustrating at times, because you see 3 things and you can only afford 1 of them, maybe. So I may be the only comic book out in the industry right now that's $2.99. Everybody else is $3.99 or $4.99 or more. And I guess I could go up to $3.99, like 99% of people. But why, right? I mean, I do good. I make a good living. I don't need the extra money. Why not give it back to the people who are loyal to you, that are consumers? So the goal has always been, I've always said, you do a quality product and you price it fairly. I think you can sell that. And then the home run is if you can put a brand name on it. So if you do a quality, reasonably priced one with a brand on, you can sell that all day long. So that, I mean, I'm not a public company. I don't have to maximize profits. That's, which is the responsibility of the executives at public companies. They're tasked with that legal requirement to maximize profits for their shareholders. It's called the fiduciary responsibility. I don't really have that. In my company, I'm like, if as long as we can pay the bills and we get to 0 and we can do it again next year, cool, right?
Right.
And we've been able to sort of meet those standards for 25 years in a row and keep going. So because here's the thing, Bob. I think if you sell something cheaper, you're going to get more people to buy it anyways. This is this weird thing. And if you got more people, then you're going to sell more units. And if you sell more units, then your attrition goes slower. And eventually you're going to get money anyways. It's weird. I don't know why everybody has to count the money first. Just put out a good product, put it at a fair price, and treat people fairly. And you'd be surprised at how loyal that works. And their loyalty is they buy product, and then you get the money at the end, right?
Right.
The big companies are always like, how do we make $1 million? And they start with that, and then they go, oh, I guess we better make something cool. I just go, no, let's make something cool. And if you make it right, the byproduct is people buy it, and then cash comes. So it's like it's going to come either way. Maybe I'm just got an artist mentality. I start with the art and I worry about the business second.
No, it's not a bad thing. Like I said, I know there's a lot of love put into this stuff, and I know it's affordable, and I know there's certain people, like recently, when you were announced as having the best-selling line of the year, there were some people that wanted to dispute that fact from other companies who were like, wow, well, really what he's trying to say. And I'm like, but
look at I didn't give me the award.
Exactly.
Right? And NPD, who actually is linked to retail sales. This isn't a popularity contest. This wasn't like, what's your favorite Academy Award movie, right? This was literally linked to sales, right? So they're linked to sales, and they add it all up at the end of the day, right? I'm not paying attention. I don't know what my competition is doing. Like, I got my head down. Our company's just doing our thing. Cool, right? When they ran it through cash registers, they're saying, hey, that thing called DC Multiverse was number one, right? Was number one. So, all right, we can have a debate whether you like DC Multiverse toys or whatever. What you can't dispute in this particular instance was whether they added up more of those characters than other lines. That's what they do. That's what their entire business model is. So cool, right? I'll take it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to get that out there because you made the statement and then somebody wanted to put in a response, and I was like, come on, like literally, like he's not lying. Like, it's not like he made this up out of the blue. It's not like he was like, oh, look at this.
Yeah. Well, somebody just put up there on the screen there with the old adage, which I completely agree. I've always said I'd rather have 1 million people give me $1 than to have 10 people give me 100,000. Both of those add up to 1 million, right? So the reason that the first one to me is way more valuable, because you have 1 million individuals that know your brand, that know what you're doing, that know what your product is. I'd rather have 1 million people know what song or TV show or book or whatever it is that I'm trying to sort of sell. I'd rather have 1 million people than 10, because it's just good for business in the long run. Because if you lose one of those 10 people, that's 10% of your group. Tough to lose 10% of your people all in one day if you got 1 million of them. So, and the way I think to have more people is to just keep the prices reasonable. Keep the prices reasonable. So, everybody, only has a limited amount of money to spend. They're going to have to make hard choices on it. So I'm aware of it. I'll let other people do their $80, $100 action figure toys. That, you know what? Somebody else can go ahead and do it, right? I'm going to tell you, but if I ever do a $100 action figure, it'd probably come with a small piece of gold in it, because I don't understand how they can justify $100 for, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. How's that $100? I'll do it for $20. What are you doing? Okay, I'll do it for $20, $25. Shoot.
Somebody had a question in the chat. They wanted to ask, what car is that behind you?
Oh, it's a die cast. Somebody made it. Somebody made it for a show. Little spawn die cast here, right? They made it for a show. It was just sort of, I think, a one-off show piece, something like that.
Oh, very nice. All right. No, thank you for clearing that up. I wanted to, they put out that stuff. I wanted to get your side on that too. I felt that it was only fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to our slideshow here. And then moving on from there, the Disney Mirrorverse.
Yeah.
That first wave was tremendous. It had some really unique characters that looked really cool, did a lot of cool stuff. Now we have 2 additional characters, hopefully some more down the line, but we got some cool stuff going on with the Mirrorverse.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, I'm not expecting that people who like Spawn or like, even Batman are the same people that might like the Disney Mirrorverse based on the app game. But they're fun characters, and there's a lot of Disney fans out there, right? And even I was, a little bit hesitant to like, how are these going to do? And then I saw the sculpts of some of them, and I went, man, these are kind of fun, right? They're kind of fun. They're not, especially the smaller. We're doing a couple scales, the smaller ones. Again, going back to what we said earlier, they're just sort of fun to have in the hand and just sort of move some of the pieces and stack next to it. So if you're a Disney fan, I think there's a value there.
Absolutely. They've been fun to mess around with. I'm excited. I know we showed those 2 characters, but Genie is in the works. It's just different. And I think that's something you really excel at, is doing things that are different than what's out there.
Yeah. One of your viewers just said we're also older collectors and we have kids ourselves. So yes. they might not buy a Superman, Batman, Spawn, whatever we're doing, Horror Hammer, but they see a Disney product and they'll go, oh, hey, it's from the same company that does that other stuff that I know is going to be a quality product. Oh, cool! I'll pick one up for my kids at the same time. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see. Our next slide should be of the Batman. The Batman came out strong this year. You were right on top of that. Like, everybody's going crazy for these Batman figures. I've gotten quite a few in my collection already. I'm still waiting on pre-orders on a couple others. Overall, these have been done really well. The articulation.
Yeah, I just had a meeting earlier. They pretty much just blew out. Like we don't have any more, right? Oh. So it's like, oh man, we should have made more. So shoot. Yeah, I mean, given the option between making too little and making too much, you always want to be a little bit short. So.
And then we got a fan here saying keep up the good work, and the McFarlane diversity, they're loving it.
Yeah. No, the diversity is important, because what you don't want is to be in a business where you have to keep going back to the same group of people. Because otherwise, like I said, everybody has a limited amount of money, and it's not sustainable if you need the same amount of people to buy 100 figures. But if you can find 5 different groups, here's a sports group over here, here's an anime group over here, here's a comic book group over here, here's people who like movies and video games over here, and then here's Disney people over here, then you can divide it all up, right? And so you can get a little bit from all of them, and then you put it all together and you go, oh, okay, it was pretty good business. Let's keep it going.
No, absolutely. And then to go to the Batman, everybody's, like I said, everybody's in love with this stuff. Like, the bikes have been great. Like,
yeah, the bike turned out really cool.
Both versions of the bike have been nice. The regular motorcycle and then the Bat cycle itself. Yeah. I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I know you just hate standard people in clothes, but the fact that we got a penguin was nice to see. I know that's not your thing you love to do, but
no, but the thing is that when you're going to do somebody like the penguin, then you make sure you're not, you're not weighting it the same. You're not manufacturing the same amount, right? So you make this many Batman, and then you make this many penguins, right? Because here's the thing that I think people don't quite understand. even Hasbro Mattel, I think sometimes, is when a kid says to his parents, say, I want a Batman toy, or I want a Spider-Man toy, right?
Mhm.
Either one. Mom and dad are not geeks for the most part. They take that sentence literally, right? So they go to the store. I've seen it. I've been there before. They go to the store and they go, do you have any Batman toys? And then the person will go back and look, and they'll come and they go, oh yeah, we don't really have much. Here's one. It's the Joker. And the mom says, no, he said he wanted a Batman toy. And the guy's trying to say, no, this is from the Batman series and the Batman movie, whatever else, which is probably what the kid meant. But mom only heard, I want a Batman toy, right? And she takes it literally as it must be Batman, right? And so this is where you weight them. So no matter how cool the Penguin may look or not look, whatever, it's not really relevant, because even the Penguin was the coolest looking costume, but she wasn't. But if he was, it still wouldn't matter to a lot of moms and even some of the dad, because it's like the kid says, I want Batman. They're like, they don't want Robin, right? They don't want anybody else. They just want Batman, Batman, Batman. So you got to make sure that if you ever do anything that's got a brand name on it, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman, Superman, you better make sure you got a lot of those ones, because moms are very myopic when they're buying that figure.
Very true. It looks like we got a question here on the Batman figs. Will you be extending the line into the Penguin standalone show, or have those discussions not even happened yet?
We just briefly, we're constantly having conversations with Warner Brothers, and so, but until we see what those visuals are going to look like, I mean, there's usually two things that are going to drive a toy. I guess more than two things. Again, we talk about kind of price and whatever. But once you get past that, then is it a popular character, regardless of what they look like, or do they just look cool? And then at that point, it doesn't matter if they're popular, because they just look cool as you're walking by in the aisle. And so I'm constantly sort of looking for that, because people were asking me, like, why did you make that figure in the DC Multiverse and that figure? It's like, because they look awesome. Like, I don't care if it's popular. I don't care if they were in a lot of comic books. We're selling toys. If I'm an 8-year-old boy, do I look at that and go, man, I would have wanted that one? Of course, I'll take it. Boom, it's a monster. It's a guy in a cool, mech suit. It's whatever it is, right? And so whether it's an iteration of Batman, Superman, or it's the 25th most popular character is not relevant. All that matters is, does he plug him? Does he look cool? Does he got enough shit on him? Does he look good?
Right? Speaking of movie stuff, I know Warner Brothers and Discovery just had their merger and everything. Things got pushed back. Upcoming stuff you've teased and stuff that's been leaked. I'm not going to get into the leak stuff potentially because it's not verified news. Is that stuff being pushed back as well? I know we had a situation with Dune previously where stuff came out way before the movie. Are you guys trying to figure out what to do there?
Yeah. So we'll go in reverse a little bit. The situation with Dune and I believe the Wonder Woman 1985 toys,
yes,
was that we had made the toys. They were coming across the waters, and this thing called the pandemic came along, right? And then as part of the pandemic, everybody reacted, and what Hollywood did in a lot of cases was they bumped their movies. And so the toys were coming because we have to have them there in time for the movies. And even more so, the stores had bought them. And stores are not made, your Walmart and Targets and Kmart's, they're not made to have empty shelves. They're made to have product. And it wasn't ideal for anybody to have, Dune product out a year and a half before the movie. Wouldn't have been my choice and wouldn't have been Walmart's choice and Target's choice, but they were there, and the only other option was to just have blank shelves, and that's not the business everybody was in. And then it becomes a little bit tough to go back when the movies do come out and then catch up to them, because at that point, then the retailers have already filled the shelf space with whatever is the new thing coming down the pipeline. So we're just reacting on the fly, right? I mean, I think Warner Brothers just a couple of days ago released the news of delaying a couple more of their movies, a couple that we were working on. So we're now ahead, way ahead those storylines because most of them are almost made. So we'll just figure it out. But you know, you when you're dealing with other businesses, you have to be able to be flexible and move. And you can complain all you want. It doesn't solve one problem. So you just have to go, what's the new situation? What do we do? And then you figure it out on the fly. In terms of some of the licenses that are there and what's coming out and some of the new items, again, sometimes they're shy about showing us that stuff till it's sort of fairly concrete internally.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times it's, you know, we get stuff pretty far in advance. And so I would say that almost every show that we deal with, every movie we deal with, is for sure every brand we deal with is its own unique equation in terms of what they're willing to show us at what times and all, you know, sometimes you're like, here it is a year in advance. And other times it's like, we can't show you that. And there are times where they won't show us something and it's already on the internet. We have to remind them. No, I don't want to show us, but you actually just released 2 photos. Can we at least use those 2 photos you just released, right? Like, it would be nice to have something instead of nothing, and it can't be a secret because you're like, it's a secret. It can't be a secret because it's on the internet, right? And oh, by the way, not only is it on the internet, but your company released it, so it can't be that big of a secret. So sometimes you just have to navigate all of it, and then with the hiccups in supply chain, which is mostly human. It's mostly human supply. I mean, like I'm manufacturing. I'm sure everybody will give you different. It's not really the goods and even the machines and whatever. It's once you make it, you have enough human beings now to move it to the docks, load it on a boat, ship it across oceans, unload it, and put it in warehouses, and then do you have enough truckers? So it's a human resource. It's really slowing everything down right now. Not a actual physical. We don't have enough glass or cardboard or plastic.
No, absolutely. I know it's been a big thing. I have a question here from somebody wondering, you've been known for your horror in the past. Are you trying to work on anything, or is it a stay tuned and see type of approach, or where are you at with anything horror related?
Yeah, I'm sort of a fan of creepy crawly monster stuff, so I like it. I got a lot of sculptors that like it. So some of the extreme stuff that we used to do, probably that will end up having to be either spawn.com or my toy store exclusives or even Amazon or something like that. The big stores don't really have the space and or the appetite like they once did. But we're working on bringing a couple of our brands back. Some of them a little more extreme than others. So it depends on what, I like monsters. So even I'll put monster. I won't call monsters necessarily horror. But even monsters, we're working on a couple of those right now.
Oh, very nice. And you brought up the toy store, and I wanted to ask you, the McFarlane Toy Store launched last year. I've placed a couple orders on there. I've got my stuff. Customer service has been fantastic. I had a missing item. They took care of it. They got me squared away. But shipping, everything was packed in safe and sound. How has the website for that been? And are you liking having that avenue? Because I like it, because sometimes I don't have to go in the store and go hunt for stuff. I can go to the website if I catch things in time and pick it up.
Yeah, we try to give a little bit of backfill to the store without feeling like we're competing with the people we sell to, right? Because we don't want them to think that we're selling it to them and then undercutting them, especially on price or something in our own outlet, right? Which is why they used to have Nike outlets, but you had to be 25 miles out of town, right? So it didn't feel like you were competing with the other people. So, you know, we have a little bit of that. What I like about it the most, and you could argue Kickstarter and these kinds of crowdfunding places do the same thing, is it allows you to come up with some of those crazy ideas that you have and not worry about whether you're going to sell enough of them out at marketplace. And if it means you have to make less, but you have to price it a little bit higher to basically make back your research and development costs, then there seems to be enough of an audience out there that are willing to do that, especially because then they know it's also going to be de facto limited by doing it. So yeah, I like having that as a backup, you know, as an option as we're looking at some of the cool ideas we have coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely. And speaking of stuff at the store, some DC Direct pieces.
Yep.
During the showcase, you showed off the Joker and 2 of the Batman statues. This has been quite interesting. I know you previously spoke about how you decided to take on what was DC Direct and keep it going. How are things with that? Because we've seen a variety from not only statues, but previous DC collectible, DC Direct stuff come back into play. So
I think DC Direct is a good place to offer a bit wider price points and do a little bit more eclectic stuff. And like, you know, when you're coming up with that lineup and you're going, okay, we're going to do 6 figures, and then you go, you know, let's just do 5, right? And you just go, the 6 figure didn't quite make the cut. I think these are perfect places then to basically put them in, and we've been talking about some of this where we basically, you know, may announce where it's like, you know, there's actually 6 figures to this multiverse line, but 5 of them are going to be a multiverse, and 1 of them is going to be in the DC Direct. And if you put them together, you got all of them, right?
That'd be cool.
Just because it, I mean, and again, maybe it's more for us geeks, you know, it's a little more niche or whatever else. But I don't know. I think there's more of a fun factor. And the other thing too is with the DC Direct is nobody's dictating the box size to you, right? So one of the things that can be a little frustrating at times when you're at retail is that they give you the dimensions and your figure has to either fit in it, or you have to take pieces off and somebody has to assemble it. And as you know, sometimes it can kind of look ugly at retail because, you know, a piece is off or a leg is off or a tail's off or a wing's off or something like that. And here you can say, no, let's just do this big crazy idea and put it in a big box, and there's an audience for it.
No, I could definitely see the appeal of trying to do things a little differently, using that brand to get not only multiverse stuff out, but just eclectic stuff in general. Because I think that was one of the fun factors for DC Direct, is that they got to do things a little more outside the box.
Yeah. I think we're doing it with characters in the DC multiverse, and this is one of the reasons why I think that we did so well, right? I mean, again, when they said we did the best last year, it was surprising to me. But part of it was the price was good. I think we give a quality product most of the time, and we were able to do a bunch of characters that nobody had ever done before, right? And so I don't know if people know, you know, until they're sort of sitting on my side of the equation, you know, with business. But we were bringing character names and lineups and stuff to Warner Brothers, and it was interesting that they were a little bit sort of surprised, I guess is the word, that we were going to do those characters, not because they didn't think the characters were cool, but because they knew that meant I had to cut new steel for that character, right? It was going to be a brand new mold. And they're going, so you're going to do 5 characters and do 5 new molds? And it's not molds. Like each character, it's like about anywhere between 6 and 9 sets of molds. So it's not just one. I mean, you got to do a lot of molds to make one figure. And it comes at a cost. And it was like, yeah, well, how else am I going to make them if I don't make a new mold? And they were like, okay, well, the big companies don't think like that, right? You know, and you could argue, you know, like Lego a little bit too. No matter what box you buy, there's a certain amount of sized bricks that are the same.
Yes,
right? They get to reuse and reuse and reuse. Well, you know, in the action figure business, the same thing happens. You know, you could argue sports figures before I came along, that's what they were doing. They had like 3 poses and then they just put a different head and a different paint job on. So by me not caring, because I'm not public, I don't have to maximize profits. By me not caring about the profits, I can just go, that's just a cool toy. I would want that toy. And we just make it. And luckily there's enough people out there that also want it. And it works. And so, I mean, again, it's not giant profit. Sometimes it's close to break even, but the big companies can't think like that. And I believe that there's a lot of collectors that appreciate that we just don't have to make the same 5 figures over and over and over and over, right? I mean, they can say we're making too many Batman iterations. What they can't say is that all those iterations are the same.
No, there's a variety between those Batman.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of them. You don't have to buy them all, right? Just buy the cool ones that you like. But we're doing a lot of these characters that are either look good to the eye or are popular in the comic book. So, booyah, right? And there's no surprise now that people go, oh my gosh, I've never seen that figure before, ever, because nobody's ever made it. So they go, I'll buy it. So I think it's part of the equation as to why the DC Multiverse did so well for us.
No, absolutely. And then, I mean, that's why I enjoy it. There's variety there. There's stuff that's comic centric. There's stuff that's movie centric. And like when I say comic centric, it isn't just like this is from this issue. It looks 99%, you know, give or take. I know you like to put your little spin on things at times too, to make it your own.
We call it McFarlaneise it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the end of the world, but I still know what it's from. I know what it looks like. It looks cool. So, you know, there's a variety there. And speaking of that variety, go ahead.
Let me just answer. Somebody said, is there going to be a plague spawn? Yes, of course there will be. I've already talked to the guy who owns the brand. So,
you got it on good authority.
Hopefully we'll get them all out. Don't worry about it, right? It's just about a matter of time. Yeah, we're working through the spawns. Yeah.
Everybody's salivating at the mouth for more Spawn. We'll get to Spawn here in a little bit. DC Multiverse, since we're talking
about okay. So here's a good example. I don't know how popular the Dragon Joker is or was in the comic books,
but it looks cool.
But that's cool, right? What are you talking about? I really want a big, giant, gnarly face of the Joker on a dragon body. Come on. Right, come on. If that doesn't at least tempt you, then you've lost your inner child, right? So, and the guy next, look at the guy off to the right there. Forget the names, right? This is the thing. This is when I'm talking to executives. I go, guys, you're overthinking this. Forget what the names are. Forget what it's coming out. Forget all this other stuff that you're doing about consumer data. That's just a big, bulky guy with a big ass helmet on, with big ears. He's got an axe that looks like a guitar. It's cool. It's cool plastic. I can sell it. Right? So I've always told them anything that's big, that's got a lot of plastic in it, I have never been stuck with that toy. Sometimes little skinny guys or female figures that don't get quite as much plastic, and it's the same price. No, you get the big fat Mondo guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the little skinny female. Like, what do you talk about? Same plastic. It's like they're both the same price, but you get this much plastic. Plastic matters, right? Like big matters. I like big chunky toys matter.
You mean like this big chunky beast? I put lights in it. I can't find the switch. I put lights in it too. So
no, that one's just look at until you see that in person or you're actually holding it. Once you see it and you hold it, then you go, of course I gotta have it, right? So you might not know you need it until you hold it, and as soon as you hold it, you become 8 years old, and then you go, I gotta have this thing. It's just super cool. Yeah.
I know. If you'll indulge me a moment, I remember when you had this in the video, and you're like, "Hey guys, it's Todd McFarlane here. Just look at this cool thing right here. It's massive." And then you walked it over to your office personnel, and you showed it against that person. It was wild. It was great salesmanship.
Quinn, let me just say, Quinn is one of my great sales tools. She's one of the smallest people in my office. So every time I do something big, I always use her as my prop to hold it, so it looks even way bigger. Because I'm like, Quinn, hold this. It'll look twice as big. She's like, you can see her in all the videos. She's always rolling her eyes like, yes, boss. But yeah, come on, man. Like I remember when we first doing it, we're like, we didn't know. And then you see it and you go, oh, come on, right? I mean, I have the luxury of being able to see it all in advance. So sometimes some stuff turns out like way more fun than you sort of thought when you first sort of got going on it.
No, the thing's wild, and the interior is crazy too. It's got the bat, like steering wheel.
But we even did like a Batmobile, or excuse me, a bat cycle, where again it wouldn't fit in the box, and you had to elongate it, right?
Oh yeah, that was the first wave.
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating because you have to push and then extend. And once it looked cool when it was compact, but it looked even better when it was extended. And so that's where, again, if I was doing it, not selling it at retail, I could have put it in a box fully extended. So people could have seen everything that they were basically paying for. But that's, you just, name's Todd, only rhymes with God. I don't get to control everything. Yeah.
Moving on, those are some cool people, and it's nice to see I love the death metal. I am all about the death metal. I think they just translate well into figure form.
They've been very popular for us for sure. Yeah.
So it's nice to see more of that. But you didn't show only those things. You showed some big, massive pieces of here. And you did some, and I know you've started to tackle the future slate too. So let me start there with the future slate. A relatively new book. Same with Endless Winter. You've done stuff with that, but you've been able to get this stuff out relatively fast as opposed to what we've traditionally seen from companies.
So, but Bob, here's the thing that I think people may be miscalculating a little bit. I didn't make those 3 figures because they're popular now in the comic books or in a video game. I made them because, one, dude in black and white with a full mask on that you can't see his face. I've always liked that style. You see it a lot in sort of concept art. That toy looks good up on the shelf. I remember when I first saw it unpainted, I thought it was cool. And then a big, like, textured lizard man. Yeah. And Man-Bat. Man,
that thing is awesome
looking. You see that guy up close with all the detail of the hair, and then the wings. He's got 2 pieces of wings, one on the back and one here. And when all of a sudden he bends and the wing comes with him, right? It's just whoosh, whoosh. You can make him feel like he's big. I don't know. To me, this is one of those ones, Bob. I don't give a shit if he's in a comic book and hasn't been in a comic book for 3 years, because that toy. I'm in the toy business, right? I don't let the tails wag the dog too much. I just got to make cool looking toys. A big hulking sort of werewolf bat guy that looks giant in a package. I would have brought that home. Here's why. Because I don't think the evolution of human beings has really evolved all that much over a lot of years. I don't think so. And especially in the last 50 years, because I'll tell you what I used to like, and I don't think I was a unique boy. Superhero, monster, aliens, creepy crawlies, and robots. Give me any of those. Aliens, whatever that goes into the monster pile. Any of those can sell. I don't care. Whether it was in the 60s when I was a kid or whether it's today, I can sell it. Or whether it was 100 years ago, of course you can sell it. Little boys and a lot of girls now like these things, right? Dinosaurs, robots, aliens, superheroes, monsters. What are you talking about? All day long. He falls into, Man-Bat falls into it. Done. So somebody can say, we're making a movie, we're doing it. I don't care. I'm making them anyways because he falls into one of those categories.
No, I'm going to go on record and say I don't have the figure in my hand, but that Man-Bat may be the best Man-Bat that's ever been sculpted and put into plastic form. He just looks cool. He looks imposing. He's going to be interesting to photograph, but it just looks crazy.
And like I said, I think you'll really enjoy the detail of the hair too, right? So it gave a nice texture to him too.
Very nice. I have a question here. With going to the theater to watch movies moving towards being an event rather than just an outing, any thoughts of using theaters to distribute limited figures, cups, popcorn, bowls to extend the experience? Your thoughts on that?
No.
Not at this time?
No. So, and I don't mean to be flippant with it, but here's what I found works for me, because I'm a small company and I don't have billions of dollars to spend like the big boys. I just look at what they do. I look at how they've trained the consumer. I look at how the consumer is acting, and then I just try and get in the way of that, right? And so the whole build it and they will come, I don't believe that, right? Because it takes too much money to educate people. Well, what do you mean? Where do I got to go? Because you built it. Just you make something and then you find where people already are and the way that people are already reacting, and then you just get in their way and you just go here, boom. So for me, I would rather, instead of worrying about selling something and having to work and go to all the movie video, I'd rather just announce that I'm doing that same figure and I'll ship it worldwide and you can get it as a pre-order off my internet. Boom, done. I just saved a bunch of logistics of having people to be at all the store, whatever else. Now, the question is, well, you got to now get the people to know that it exists, because of if you're at the theaters, then you're going to be running into the people, and that's getting in the way of the people. But my resources are limited, so I've got to figure out ways to get the word out, talking to people like you and giving them information who will then get spread to the people who are listening, that will then spread it, is a valid way of doing it. And unlike the big companies, I don't have to sell tens of millions of units, right? I can sell a fraction of it and I'm quite good, right? Because the business model is only as good as money in, money out. So somebody can make $100 million and it be a bad business model. And here's how. Because your overhead's 110 million. Who cares if you're making 100 million? You're in the hole 10 million bucks. But you could make 1,000 and it's actually a good model, because if it only cost you $500 to make 1,000, you doubled your money. So as long as you can figure out how to right size your company, and we're a tiny company, so I don't have the luxury of having massive, sales force and massive commercials and massive advertising. I can't do it. I would rather take that money at any time and put it into the toy. I don't have a fancy office. I don't even have a window in my office, right?
What?
No, so people think I'm up on the 44th floor and I'm looking down on Manhattan. No, I don't have a window looking outside. So why? Because we're at a place that has reasonable rent. Why? So we can save the money and put it into the toys. Why? Because if I put it in the toys and the toy looks cooler, I assume, hopefully, fingers crossed, that the consumer will like it. And if the consumer likes it, they'll buy it. And if they buy it, then we get some money. And if we got money, we get to do it again tomorrow. And then tomorrow and tomorrow. Next thing you know, it's 20 years. So I don't care if I've got a fancy car or if I've got a fancy office. It's not relevant to the consumer. So what? So what? If I'm living in the box and I only have I'm not wearing a shirt, who cares? All they care about is whether that toy in front of them is cool or not. Right. So the rest of it isn't relevant to me. So I don't care about it personally. So, put it in the toy, put it in the toy, put it in the toy. So we've had this conversation plenty of times with people when we're making a license. They go, well, we got somebody's going to offer us $250,000. I'm going, well, I'm going to offer you 100,000. And here's what I'm going to do with the 150,000 I'm not offering you. I'm going to put it in the toy. And I'm going to make I'm going to make a cooler toy than they are. So, and guess what? By the end of it, you're going to get more than $250,000 in royalties. You're going to get it. So I guess the difference is, do you need the money now or can I give it to you later? Because I think there's a better way to get to you later. Just make better product. Make better product.
And to this viewer's point, you make a product that people want and it works.
It's not it's not quality at a price, and every now and then put a brand on it. It's not, and lots of plastic.
Yes.
Right. So it's not complicated, right? They want to think it's way more complicated, but I go, guys, no. I look at one of the first things we did when we had the DC Multiverse line was, again, they want us to do the classic Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash stuff. But we also did in that very first line what I call Batman in armor and Superman in armor. And they were
those are beautiful pieces.
They were so big that they almost looked like they were busting out of the package, right? At the same price. They look bigger at the same price. And that wasn't even with the wings. Once you got them out, you got to put the wings on.
Yeah, they got bigger.
The Batman in armor, I think, had been on 2 or 3 pages. The Superman one had been in 2 panels. That means 2 boxes on 1 page. 2 panels. And they were like, well, nobody knows what this is. Doesn't matter. It looks cool. Let me make these. They thought I was crazy because they're like, so you're going to make a new mold for something that isn't been in the comic book that nobody knows about. Yes. All right. It's your money, Todd. We'll let you. We don't understand it, but whatever. Of course they sold. Of course they sold. Why? Because it was cool. A lot of plastic and it was busting out. Like, yeah, it looked good. If I was 8 years old, I would have bought it too.
Oh, no. Those I think those 2 pieces turned a lot of heads to see what you were doing because, you've been in an evolution from, if we really take it back, your DNA is all over this industry, this toy industry.
Now
you really think about
yes,
like the moment you entered it to where we're at now, like you're a pioneer in that aspect. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but you pioneered and you changed everything. But even in your sculpts and updating now to articulation, there's a continual evolution to it.
Bob, so let me tell you the evil plan, the mastermind plan.
Okay.
What you just said was the goal from day one. I wasn't buying figures. Why? I didn't think they looked good, right? I literally started my company on a simple question. Why can't they look better? But I knew that if I could go out there and make the toys look better, that people would then take a page from the playbook and say, I guess you can sculpt more detail. I guess you can add more weapons. I guess you can add more paint. I guess you can do that. So when I first started, there were maybe 4 toys at Toy Fair that I, as a walking around, was jealous of and went, man, that looks good. That looks good. There's maybe 4. I can count them on the fingers. Right? And now we go to Toy Fair. There are hundreds that I go, oh man. Do I think that part of that is what you said is because we came into the industry and we showed them it was doable? Yes. But that was it, because what I thought was then toys across the board would get better everywhere. I don't have to make them all. They'll just get better. Why? Because I'm a geek and then I can collect them. I don't have to make them all. I don't want to have to make everything I collect. It'd be cool if other people would sort of help in this effort. Okay. And at times they actually do better toys than me and they keep me on my toes. Cool. So yeah, that was it. It was like, watch this. I'm telling you, 10 years from now, toys are going to be better across the board. Even Mattel and Hasbro will be forced to make a little bit better toy because they'll see that they can add 25 cents more to the manufacturing and upcharge $1. And they'll go, oh my God, we can make a better toy and make more profit? Yes, dumbass. So like, go. And to them, they finally figured it out because they were like, Todd, at the beginning, toys were like $5.99 and mine was $6.99 or something. And I remember they patted me on the head going, I was new. And they were like, little boy, you can't sell toys for $6.99 because, they're $5.99. And the answer is, of course you can. Of course you can sell a $6.99 toy. And you know how I know you can sell something for $6.99? Because people buy fucking $70,000 car. They'll buy a $70,000 car. They'll buy a $200,000 house. They'll buy a $1,000 fridge. And they'll buy a $300 Xbox. Why? Because they think they're getting value at those prices. So here's how you sell a $6.99 toy. Give them $6.99 of value. This is that thing that I'm like, you guys are way overthinking it again. This is simple. Matter of fact, make it easier. Sell it for $6.99 and give them $7.99 of value. Boom. And so how did I compete? I didn't have Superman or Batman or Star Wars or any of these big brand names. I was just sitting there doing my little Spawn thing. I just put out a cooler toy and gave them a lot of value and priced it about the same as yours. And all of a sudden they're going, wow, Todd's giving us twice the plastic for only $1 more. And he's doing way more paint and he's doing way more articulation. He's doing way more for $1. That's a value. That's a value. And then I go, what won't work? Yes, you're right, CFO of public company. If you try and take your $5.99 toy and charge $6.99, you're exactly right. It won't work because you're now upcharging on something that's not worth it. I'm saying the opposite. Build a Cadillac and sell it at Ford prices. You can
not a bad concept.
You can sell that all day long.
I know, because I remember as a kid, I used to have to sneak your toys because my mom thought Spawn was the devil. She was a Catholic woman, God rest her soul. She's passed on now, but she thought those toys were devil. So I would go to the KB Toys and I would buy the toys, open them up, and I would sneak them into the house. So probably not the best thing, but they were cooler. They were cooler looking.
But there's the thing, because sometimes some of my sculptors go, man, and you mentioned it, you can do a little bit of the monsters and whatever else. You have to go back in time and remember what the world was like back then, right? First off, there's no iPhones and internet, so let's just go back. But the toys, those monsters that we sold, all the cool stuff we did, KB Toys, right? Virgin Records, Tower Records, Suncoast, Spencer's, Babbage's, right? All these that would buy all the crazy stuff because, the moment I said Toys R Us and Walmart didn't want it, they'd buy it in a heartbeat, right? Unfortunately, all those places are now gone, right? Luckily, to some extent, some of the hole has been covered now by internet and, crowdfunding and your own personal website, but not to the extent that people just walking in and out of stores. So that is sort of the frustration of why I can't quite do what we once did, because the types of stores that were there no longer exist. And then the big stores that used to, I don't know if people remember this. Walmart used to take Freddy Krueger and Mike Myers toys, right? That what they decided when the stock market collapsed was all those stores went away, the monster stores, the cool ones I just mentioned. And then the big boys decided to get really conservative and they only wanted the top 5 movies. and it's sort of, and then with a little bit of Transformers and G.I. Joe and Ben 10 or whatever, right? And that was it. They got really tight with their buying. I knew it was a mistake because eventually somebody was going to say, well, I'll take the 6th best movie and sell it, and going, oh my gosh, because nobody else had it. But we still live in that era of that I don't have easy access to stores that would sell what I would call fun McFarlane stuff, right? That others that your mom might call, what is that, right?
All right. Let's see here. Thank you for sharing all that, by the way. We did that slide. Now this wasn't originally part of the Winter Showcase Showdown, but these have recently gone out for pre-order at places. Some pretty cool stuff here. Hush. We're getting a good Hush figure for the price point. 2 versions. You're always great at finding new ways to get the most out of what you create. So I always find that awesome. But a Red Robin, Grifter, some people have complaints with. I know you've already addressed the gun situation. My question about the mandate,
somebody asked that. I saw that earlier. Yeah.
Yes, I know you're in some reason you have to, what's the word? You have to listen to the people who are giving you the licenses when it comes to weapons and whatnot.
The client, it's just simple. The client's always right.
Yes.
So I say, hey, I want to make a Batman. They go, no. Then I don't get to make a Batman. If I say, hey, I want to make 2 Supermans, and they insist I got to make 4, I make 4. And if they say that we have a policy where we don't want certain weapons, I have to adhere to it. So me holding my breath and stomping my feet, it will not change it 1 iota. So you just have to, they've made a policy. It's their characters. They think that's the right decision to make. And I have to basically live within the confines of that. Would it be my choice? No, but I don't own it. So I make the choices of the stuff I own, and I adhere to the rules when I'm using somebody else's stuff. So.
No, and that's understandable. My question is, since that's no longer in place, I've noticed lately on certain figures, we're starting to see things like extra hands now, different weapons. Is that to substitute that, or is that just a decision on your end?
Because a lot of guys came with sort of a clutching a weapon hand, right? And so now that they don't have it, especially if they had something like it was a big sort of gun or something like that. So now we have to figure out what's in their hand, and there in some cases not really an easy alternative. There is no backup. There is no batarang, if you will. So the only other answer is, can we get expressive with the hands and make it seem like they're gesturing or something like that, right? There's a partial workaround that we're talking about, which is you just make a generic weapons pack and you sell it on your website.
Yes. And somebody actually asked that question.
Yeah. So you just and if they happen to fit some of our other toys, oh well, I didn't know. So you just, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weapons pack that can be used across a wide variety of action figures.
Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be McFarlane's own action figures.
Nope.
Use them for whatever you want.
Yeah.
But some cool reveals. You guys are always pumping out stuff. You guys are boom, boom, boom with the multiverse. It's like a never-ending stream of awesomeness on the DC front. But not only on the DC front, you also showed off some new Spawn stuff.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Very excited. I was very happy you decided to do a new chair for Spawn because that old one was getting up in price.
Yeah.
And I wasn't collecting Spawn at that time. And so I was actually out of the figure game for a number of years before I got back in 2008. But that chair got pretty pricey. And I was like, man, I really hope Todd makes another chair or does something. And there it is.
Yeah. the garbage throne, I call it. But with the advent of me expanding the Spawn comic book lineup, so that there's now a Spawn universe, right? And there's always been multiple Spawns, literally since the beginning, going back 30 years. But now I've actually officially put them in their own different books, and intentionally expanding. You're going to start getting plastic versions of something. So, pretty soon you'll be able to have, like you do She Spawn and the Clowns and some of the other ones. Oh, I think we got Cygor and other ones. There's going to be 20 of them, just like the Avengers, just like the JLA, whatever it is, right? If you're a Spawn fan, you can be able to have a nice shelf full of these figures too. Yep.
That'll be good, because I know you did so much with Spawn previously, figure wise. Now to revisit it with new storylines you're telling, new characters, it's nice to see that for some of us that have been away and then have come back. So I think you're doing a fantastic job on that aspect.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's not like anything big driving it. I mean, obviously there's been a resurgence in the comic book, right? So King Spawn #1 was the #1 selling single issue of all of 2021, right? Regardless of character, regardless of the month, regardless of the issue. So every ongoing book had 12 cracks at it. And regardless of the company and the distributor, whatever, King Spawn was #1 last year. Not Spider-Man, not Superman, not Batman, not any of the household names. Spawn was #1. #3 was Gunslinger Spawn, right? And then I think the first Marvel one came in at #5. So, okay, Spawn's alive and well, and just wait till we actually have some big news to announce about the movie. It's just going to drive all that even further, I think.
We had a question. Somebody was asking about the movie too in the chat earlier, but people are in a Spawn frenzy, myself included. Like, can't get enough of the character. He's just.
So here's what I get here. I'll give you a little bit of insight on the movie.
Okay.
I've done 5 big, meaningful Zoom meetings in the last 2 weeks on it, right? And why? Because there's only a couple things that are selling in the theaters right now: comic book, superhero movies. And when they look at the charts and they're saying, what's left? Because you can't get the Marvel and you can't get the DC. What's left? You got to go way down the chart sometime. But then every now and then they go, whoa. What's that thing that was a #1 seller last year? Spawn. Well, that thing is still there, still to be had. And they've all woken up to it, Bob. I'm telling you, we've been working on it, nudging it and adding pieces to it and whatever. So it's not like it's ever been completely dormant. That one is true. But I can tell you right now, in the last month, I've had more attention by upper level people in Hollywood about the Spawn movie than at any time in the last 3 years. So something is either going to happen, I think, by San Diego, I hope.
Oh, nice.
Or in terms of news, or it's going to all blow up, and then I'm just going to sort of get angry, and I'm just going to go make the movie on my own. So those are the only 2 choices. But right now, everybody is locked and loaded in a way that I haven't seen for a while. So we'll see. I'm hoping, like I said, that by San Diego we can announce something big. And look, there's only a couple pieces of news anybody gives a shit about. There's only really one. When can I see it? Right? That's like there's really only one. Todd, shut up. When can I see it? But there are a couple other that are there. And the next meaningful piece of information that should come out should be, we've made the deal, we've got the money, and we've got a production start date. That should be the next piece of news. And so at least, although it's not as good as being able to go see it, at least it's like, oh my gosh, it's coming, right? And from there, then there will be obviously many pieces of news of as we add actors and whatever else, and then eventually, you know, we schedule it, and there's actually going to be a release date, and we're in production, and we're on the set, and all those other things. But really, the only real piece of news left right now that has any meaning to anybody listening to me right now, other than when you're going to see it, is we're going to make it officially. We're going to make it, and I'm hoping the way that everybody's talking right now, that maybe we can make some kind of big announcement by San Diego, if not sooner.
Well, that will be cool, folks. Stay tuned over with Todd McFarlane and for updates on that, because it's.
Oh yeah, I won't be shy. I won't be shy.
You shy? No. My last bit of thing is you teased the Kickstarter. I know fans are like, when's it coming? When's it coming? I do want to say before we get into that, the previous Kickstarter, I thought went really well. Like, I thought the communication with the shipping delays was fantastic. Not a lot of people would be that upfront and honest when dealing with stuff. They'd just be like, it's coming. But I appreciate the fact that you went out of your way to let people know, hey, I know there's problems here, but we're working on them. Everybody's going to get their stuff.
Yeah, what was frustrating about that on a couple levels was the product was made, right? And so I mean, it was made, and it was just sitting at a factory, and I couldn't move it from the factory to the ports because I didn't have the containers, right? And it was like, well, when we get the, and remember, this is now we're starting to get into full blown pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. So all these things that were now sort of new, that we now hear, supply chain, that word wasn't there yet, right? And so I was really right at the cusp. So were a lot of other people. I was right at the cusp of that. So it was, for as frustrated as people were getting with it, I was equally frustrated. But I also wanted to make sure that we weren't soliciting another product, whether it was Kickstarter or on my own website, until we fulfilled all those orders, and people then could have as much data as possible on price, quality, and the experience, and decide whether, if I did another one, which we're gonna, whether they now want to do it again because the experience was good, or if they got a sour taste in their mouth that they had enough data to be able to go, nah, I'm not going to jump on this again. But I didn't think it would be fair to try to put out the second one when I hadn't fulfilled all my obligations on the first one. I wanted to make sure that everybody had as much personal knowledge and data as possible, so they could make a educated decision on whether they wanted to do and come to the follow-up.
Very nice. I know some people were wondering, like, why Kickstarter versus doing it on the toy store, but I figured you had a good relationship with Kickstarter on the first one.
I've never done it. It's simpler than that. I've never done Kickstarter. So it was just that. I go, I don't know. I've done website stuff. I've done exclusive. I've done everything. I go, what I've never done is a crowdfunding thing. So, you know, I've been thinking about it. We announced it at Toy Fair, and then the pandemic came. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to basically do it because everything's getting shut down. This is really one of the few places that we could try this experiment. It was just an experiment, and it was giant. It was a giant, successful experiment. Set a couple records on Kickstarter. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, you know, they knew that it was successful. We now all have data. The Kickstarter people were very helpful, given it was my first kick at the can. But now we all have data, so now I'm guessing they'll be even more willing, because they now go, oh my God, that last one was a record setter. Like, woo, we're going to help this one. So anyways, we'll probably do it. Doesn't mean that every time we do it, we're going to it's going to be a Kickstarter, or you know, it could even be another different crowdfunding way of doing it. But it worked, and so we'll probably go back to that same spot again.
Very nice. I know you've been teasing it. Everybody's ready for it. So when it drops, I'm pretty sure we're all going to be blown away yet again.
I haven't shown too much because we're just getting the working prototype, and then we're going to paint it so I can do some cool videos. So I didn't really have all that ready on the first one. I was doing a lot of videos on the fly. I just want to be a little more sort of transparent up front of like what's there, what are all the levels, what you're going to get, you know, everything. So
very exciting stuff. The one thing I wanted to leave with, and I forgot to put it in the dang slide, so I apologize for my unprofessionalism here, is the dang page turners. Those were cool. Those were fun. That Hark, I think it's so great that a comic is coming.
It's called, just to be clear, we're calling
page punchers. Page punchers. Sorry.
Yeah, which basically means you get a little figure and you get a comic book with it, right? And so to me, this is probably going to be more something that might appeal to the kids and the moms, because like here's a toy and comic all in one, right? And I think the price is going to be around $9, $10 or something like that. So we'll see how it goes, right? We're planning on doing some with Spawn too. Like I said, I've seen all the little tiny ones together, and they're really cool. The little tiny guys together, but it's just another experiment at a different price point, offering something different. Look, I've always considered what we do, Bob, to be sort of a plastic buffet, right? You know, when you go to a buffet, there's like, you know, these 25 different options. Rarely does anybody put a little bit of everything on their plate. That's the completionist, right? That's the completist, and you're in my lingo. What I do is I just say, here's 25 things at my buffet. Just put on your plate what you enjoy, right? I don't expect you to have to buy all of it. That's not what this is about. If you like sports, it's over there. You know, if you like Disney, it's over there. If you like sort of price point, it's over there. If you like this brand, like just consume what you like and leave the rest to others. And that's okay.
No, it's cool. I do have a question. People are wondering, is Spawn gonna, are you considering this idea for Spawn in the future as well?
Yep. Yeah, I've already seen our little guys. little gunslinger.
Well, sir, it's about that time. So I wanted to just say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to spend it with us over here at Comic Crusaders. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you giving me the time. Sorry, something came up in my life last time, so I appreciate your patience.
Anytime.
Thanks to all the fans there that have questions. You know, we also have a Discord channel that we're starting some NFTs, but within the confines of that channel is rooms that break out into toy and comic book and different chats, right?
Okay.
So you don't have to be into NFTs. But if anybody wants to go to the Discord, I think the link may be in my Instagram bio or something like that. I'm sort of a boomer, so I don't quite understand all of it. But it's a place where I try to, when I got some downtime, like today, I was chit-chatting with people, and they're like, man, I can't believe Todd's answering me. So if people have questions and want to maybe have a chance to sort of drop a question and tag me, and I can sort of get back to them, it's probably sort of the best place right now that I sort of check in on a bit of a frequent level, because you can't quite answer questions on Instagram, Facebook quite as.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
Especially the bigger you are, it just becomes too much.
Yeah. So, but anyways, some of the people had some questions I couldn't get to. You could take those same questions and bring it and just find the right room, because they got different channels or rooms, whatever you want to call it, and just find it and go, oh, there's the toy conversation. Boom. So.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for your time. I'll let you get back to doing what you do best, you. And
I got a cover. I'm working on a cover.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I know what it new stuff dropped. What was it, this week or last week? Book wise?
Today's Wednesday. Today's comic book day. Yep.
Yes.
So Wednesday, every day. Wednesday. What are you talking about? This is my drawing pad. Usually I'm on Zoom. I'm drawing. I'm always telling people, hey, if you see my head down, it's not that I'm bored. It's just that I got work to do. So I'm usually drawing when I'm doing Zoom.
Well, awesome, sir. Be well. I hope to see you again at Toy Fair next year in person. And you ever need anything from us, you know how to get a hold of us, and vice versa.
All right. So peace out.
Thank you, everyone.